Welcome to the Women's Hoop Show. You guys, the Aces continue their winning ways and take a 2-game lead against the Mercury in the finals. We'll recap both of those games and analyze what the Mercury must do to get back in this series. There's some things because they got to stop A'ja Wilson. That's the first thing on their list. Then we've got updates on Napheesa Collier versus WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. Lots to unpack there. I think that press conference went double platinum. We'll talk about everything that happened there. Then we'll end things by sending flowers like we always do to the players and teams that deserve the praise, sponsored by, of course, Cash App. Lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Autumn. Hello. We meet again after 2 games into the finals. How are you?
Ooh, I'm doing great. The games have been really good. I mean, you talk about just 2 differences. It's been crazy to see the shift now in game 2. So we'll talk about it, but it's interesting so far. Thankfully, we get possibly 7 games, you know, if the Mercury can punch back, but it's been very exciting to see.
I did have that thought. I was like, of course, the year that we get 7 games, will the Aces just sweep them and we won't even get there? But the fact that we have the option.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty. There's a lot of potential.
A lot of potential. Let's start with game 1. Let's start with just coming into the finals. We kind of previewed it last time, but going into game 1, there was a lot of noise, which we'll talk about later with Cathy and the press conference.
Yes.
But there was still so much excitement around the finals. Let me just say this before we get into the basketball. The production has been great. A 1-hour WNBA countdown before every single game. They've also brought out the HD cameras. I don't know if you saw that, but only NBA finals have gotten that this far, where it's like, it looks like you're in a video game because it's so crisp and clear.
Yeah.
We get that now. And so all of that has just been a surprise, a spectacle, this is how it should be. And that has gotten me even more hype. So that's just my thought about the finals, feeling like the finals. I love it.
I love it too. Like, go big or go home. These athletes deserve it. We deserve it as fans to really pour into this product. And a great game 1 to start it off with a bang. Like, this is how you do it. This is how it's supposed to feel.
Started off with a bang. It was so close. Aces end up winning 89-86. But I'm so curious your thoughts, because I felt like going into the 4th quarter, it felt like the Aces started to pull away. Like, if you weren't looking at the score, you would think that the Aces were up by maybe even double digits. Just the vibes really started to switch. And then, of course, that Phoenix Mercury, they don't go anywhere. and then you look up and you're like, oh, shoot, this is a 3-point game. Like, this is going down to the wire. Did it feel like that for you? Or some people were saying it felt like the Mercury were in control most of the game. Who took control most in game 1?
Yeah, I will say the Mercury, for the most part, they led majority of the game. They controlled most of the game. But I like the word you used. The vibe felt more towards the Aces. And that's because of the bench lift of what we saw from Dana Evans going off. I mean, just a beautiful, magnificent performance. I know we will get into her later, but like, just overall, I love the ball movement from both teams. It was beautiful basketball that was being played. I mean, the lead changes went back and forth. It was tight. It was tied. Like it was fun to watch, and everyone was scorching from 3. It was a high scoring affair, but I thought for the most part, the Aces took that game, and the Mercury gave it away in a sense because of costly turnovers, because of 2 huge missed free throws by Alyssa Thomas. Satu Sabli picking up, her 5th early foul. I think it was like 8:30 left on the clock in the 4th quarter. in that poor execution at the end in the last possession of the game was massive. So it was like just the little things you think of in finals basketball that you cannot have. Everything, I wouldn't say like, okay, AT missed those 2 free throws, that's why they lost the game. No, it's a buildup of things that happen over the course of the game that you want to minimize on. And that's something they did not capitalize when you think about how the Mercury were able to, well, not able to pull out this game. So I thought for the most part, the Aces took that game. They harped on defense all season long. And that's what we saw. That's when the vibe started to switch. It started from the defensive end, getting deflections, getting a bench lift. Even Jewel Lloyd to start off, I thought she was on a heater as well. And Chelsea Gray just has been on a different level. Like you look in the eyes and the passion and everything about this team, you get that vibe from every single Aces player that was, you know, catering to their momentum in a sense.
Yes, I love everything that you said. I agree 1,000%. When you mentioned that last play, I just went there because I felt like it was definitely a rookie coaching move. Like Nate Tibbetts call a timeout. You saw the play was breaking down when Ka was holding the ball at the top. I was like, timeout, like reset because the play is not working, and they didn't. And they shout out to Kia Stokes too for playing 14 seconds in the
we
game.
Love that.
And switched everything and totally disrupted that last play. But it didn't come down to that, like you said. Going back to that first half, Ka was unconscious in game 1. She made 5 3-pointers. She went 5 for 6, which tied the record in a half, by the way. 5 threes and a half, tied a record with Diana Taurasi for most 3-pointers in a half. And then you're like, okay, if this is how Ka is going to play, then pack it up. Like this is going to be a wrap. But she only had 2 points in that second half. And then AT came out strong in the first half, had 10, only had 5. But those were like the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter in that second half. So it was definitely a tale of two halves. And I think that was for sure the Aces defense, like you mentioned. But then the Mercury not able to find an answer for Dana Evans. Can you please just spotlight her for a second? Because I loved all this attention on her. I loved how she was able to be a secret weapon, an X factor off the bench for the Aces, and a huge reason why they won that game 1.
Well, if you are new here to just women's basketball period, like welcome to the Dana Evans show. Like she has been this type of player since her days at Louisville, and how she was able to be that leading scorer on that team, to take her team deep into a March Madness run in a sense, consistently like getting them to the Elite Eight, like just trying to push forward. She has a chip to her name, but I could only imagine how rewarding this one is going to feel if the Aces can pull it out all the way, because, you know, of how she was able to come out and be that difference maker, to be that spark plug for this team. Every finals needs a breakout star. And Dana Evans has been writing her chapter as so. So I'm so happy for her as a scoring point guard. She brings in a different dynamic when she gets into the game. The tempo picks up. She's able to get to her spots, attack, and even hit from 3, as we saw. Even alongside a Chelsea Gray, when they're both out on the floor, that brings a different dynamic because now you have 2 point guards on the floor. I'm just so happy that she was able to have that moment and that confidence booster, contributing the way that she did. I looked back at that run that she had with the Chicago Sky. She averaged only 7 minutes in the postseason. Wow. Now, that's why I say she should feel so good about the product that she's been putting on the floor, but that has to do with opportunity too. Dana Evans has been that, and she's showing just that.
Didn't she have a game? I didn't go back and look, but didn't she have a Dana Evans type of game in either the postseason or the finals with the Chicago Sky? I know that I remember that it
Mhm.
was a similar thing. She had an opportunity. It was kind of the fourth quarter, second half, kind of maybe garbage
Yep.
minutes even. And she was just on a scoring tear because this is what she does, you guys.
Yeah.
She is a 2-time ACC Player of the Year.
Yes.
And being traded to the Las Vegas Aces, you know, I feel like for me personally, it kind of went under the radar in the offseason because there
Mhm.
was so much movement, and Jewel Lloyd coming to the team, I think, took a lot of that spotlight. But Dana Evans coming to this team was a huge factor. And you hear how Asia talks about her, how she is their energizer, how she is their key coming off of the bench, how Becky Hammon talks about her in the fact that, you know, she said she took a shooting drill from the San Antonio Spurs called 100, and she's never seen anyone score higher than Dana Evans. Like those type of words in a public setting, because I know they're saying it
Yeah.
behind closed doors, but that just does so much for your confidence as a player and as a
Yeah.
young player in this league who's still a champion. I know that had to do wonders for her confidence coming out of that. She finished tied with Asia for a team high 21 points, became the 8th player in WNBA finals history to score 20 plus points off the bench. So she made history. Not only did
Yeah.
she have a great game, she's involved in history in that. I agree. I think this is, if it goes 7, if it goes 6, we're going to look back to game 1 and say, man, they
Mhm.
needed Dana Evans in that game to really
Yeah.
solidify them to getting this championship. So she's going to be a part of it for sure. Love it.
Love it.
Love, love, love. Okay, but the Aces were able to hold it out. Even though the Mercury, I don't think they played poorly in that game 1, but free throws at the end. We also got a great laugh of the post-game press conference with someone asking Ka, when are we gonna learn that we can't ask Ka
Please.
these questions? Because she gonna give
Come
you
correct.
she gonna give you a soundbite. And she said the
With a
question
look.
was, what do you need to tell AT about missing those free throws? And
Like,
she said, she's good. I don't need to tell her
like
nothing. She's good. She's
it's
fine.
the face for me. Like, you already know something's about it. The face does all the talking before the words comes out, and it's like, oh Lord. And as like someone, I'm a listener. I'm also a good like reader. So like when I see that, I would come correct already, but I would also try to pivot in a way where it's like, all right, let me reel this back a little bit.
Yeah, she gave him another chance. She was like,
Yeah, like, are you sure you're asking me that?
Yeah,
and that's when you're like,
okay.
Like, we good? I love it. It's so funny.
So funny. So funny. Must watch TV is her post-game
Every
press
time.
conference, especially after a loss. But going into game 2, I felt like, okay, and I feel like Becky Hammon also felt this way. I read this in ESPN this morning. How can the Aces respond? Because we have seen this during the playoffs where they have a big win, a close win, and then they lose double digits by Seattle the next game. Or they let Indiana back into it, giving them life. So I was looking to see if Phoenix can shoot the gap and try to expose that for game 2, or if the Aces can really show, we're champions, we're worthy of this, we are going to show over and over again consistently back to back in the postseason that we can win this game. So that's what happened. Game 2, the Aces were able to win, and now they're up 2-0. But what did you see even from the jump from this Aces team in game 2? Maybe that felt a little different than game 1.
Yeah, game 1 was all about the bench. We just highlighted it. 41 points coming off the bench for the Aces. But game 2 was all about the stars, specifically the victory. And one thing that I love the most about the games period is going on to Threads or X and seeing what people have to say. And I saw a meme that had Chelsea, Jackie, and Asia. And they were like, I'm telling my grandkids this is Destiny Child.
Yes.
I was like, I will never delete any app on here because how do people think of this stuff? I literally just cracking up as I scroll through. But like, they reminded us exactly why this dynasty is is never going away if
Mhm.
they are at the forefront. Asia, Jackie, Chelsea, I believe they played with each other for 5 years now?
Mm.
That connection, that connectivity, the chemistry, the cohesion was on full display, combining about 70 points together. And when you have Jackie Young going off for 21 points in the third quarter, what? Like,
Oh,
she was on a different tear. It was like just
unstoppable.
beautiful, unstoppable. That is a great way to put it.
Mm.
Unstoppable, simply just on attack mode. She had a great feel to the game, get into her spots, and the basket, as she said, just looked huge in that moment. Like, yes, we know Asia Wilson's consistently gonna give us a 28-14 game. Every single game, she's rewriting what greatness could look like on a normal, which is crazy to even say. But yes, we say that all the time about Asia. I don't think we say that enough about Jackie too. Like, it is a quiet, consistent force alongside Asia Wilson. And now with Chelsea Gray too, back-to-back 10 assist games, she is the heartbeat of that team. And we haven't really talked about Chelsea Gray leading up to this point, coming into the postseason, having that point God-esque type feel that we're so used to. But we saw it on Unrivaled, and I feel like that's the same vibe that we're getting right now. It's like, yeah, like, don't sleep on me. I'm still here. And
Mhm.
I am she's who makes the Vegas tempo go. It flows through her based off her IQ. She has a beautiful connection with Asia Wilson. We saw that on full display. And I love what Asia said in the post game, saying, I don't practice how to catch her passes. Like, it's a feel, it's a mental connection. It's something like we're used to now because we played alongside each other together. Truly, I felt like that was the difference maker in game 2. And that's what we're seeing truly, is this team has been together. And
Mhm.
yes, to a point, Mercury, they just formed this team. That's the beautiful storyline about them. But when it matters the most in these games, experience has been able to step up in this series alone. And I think we're seeing that more than anything, especially in game 2.
Mhm. Chelsea Gray is another level in the playoffs. We know that there is a step up in her game somehow when it comes to the postseason. She has been
Yeah.
here before. She knows what she needs to do. And the 10 points, 10 assists, even if you just look at the box score, you didn't watch the game, you're like, okay, 10 assists. All right. 10 points. Okay. But no,
Mm-mm.
it's everything about that. It is getting your stars involved, putting people in the best possible places for
Yep.
them to be successful, and getting Asia Wilson up to 20 points in the half. We were talking about
Mhm.
Ka's incredible first half in game 1.
Yeah.
20 points in the first half for Asia Wilson was unreal. And it looked like it. I was like, she has all their points. She
Yes.
is just on a
Yes.
tear right now. She can't be stopped. And Chelsea Gray was making sure that she was getting those passes and in the right spots. So it was very much the big three on display. Um, yeah, I want to just reiterate that 21 points in a quarter is not normal.
It's
We're talking about
nuts.
halves when we talk about Ka's
Yep.
19 and we talk about
Mhm.
Asia's 20 in the first half. She did it in one quarter, and the Aces scored 30 in the whole quarter,
Mhm.
which is wild.
Wild.
That was another thing that people were saying, Nate Tibbetts, use those timeouts. Let's try to break this a little bit. But
Mhm.
she couldn't, because she was looking at the ocean when she was looking at the basket. You
Yes.
could not stop her.
Mm-mm.
And coming into this game, Jackie didn't have a incredible game 1. She really didn't. She was getting
Mhm.
work done on her legs. She didn't suit up for practice on Saturday. Becky Hammond just said that her legs were feeling very heavy from fatigue and just
Mhm.
needed some rest. So then you see this type of performance and you say, okay, well, she got her rest. All right. Her
She
legs are
received the
looking
rest.
pretty
That's it.
good,
She back.
looking pretty good. So just that, even
Yeah.
just from that short distance from a Friday to Sunday, seeing the boost that she was able to have, I think Jackie Young is such a incredible case of when she came into the league as a rookie, her game was so different. I
Yeah.
feel like we didn't really know, was she a point guard coming from Notre Dame? Could she shoot from the outside? It was a few question marks, even though she was a number 1 overall pick to the Aces. And she has just worked and worked and worked to now be one of the best two-way guards in the league. It has been so fun to see that ascension. And another part that I love about her game is that she can switch on Alyssa Thomas. They are both in the weight room.
Ooh, yes.
You don't want to see either of them in an arm wrestle match. And I love that Jackie Young, she can switch on AT and at least just put some pressure on her a little bit, like a football blocker. So I think that's what Jackie is able to bring on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up, because I've been really fascinated by the matchup between Asia and AT. And I love what Asia said in the fact where, like, now I have to think like a guard when I'm guarding an AT. I can't just think about going over or under the screen. I can't just be in drop coverage. I have to think about going under or over the screen, because she has so much to her game and she has guard-like skills as a post. But when she gets switched off, those guards have been able to man it, like just be able to take over in a sense and make sure that they're containing AT as much as possible. The key for the Aces always has to be keep Alyssa Thomas out of the paint at all costs, because you know that that's her sweet spot. That's how she's able to get inside, spray it out for 3, or go inside, take it strong, get downhill with her force, her strength to finish at the rim, or hit you with the spin move and find a cutter. Like, she has different moves in her bag, and as a post, like, you're not used to guarding that. But Asia, as mobile and nimble as she is, she's been able to be tasked with that. And if any mishap happens, you are covered because your teammates have your back in a sense, and they have that strength, that physicality, that frame to handle a player like Alyssa Thomas. So I really thought that's where they were able to make the defensive adjustment, keeping her out of the paint, and making sure that AT isn't the lifeline in a sense for this team. When you can take her out of the equation, you've won the game.
Yeah. Also taking her out because of fouls. She was in some foul trouble for game 2, which makes anybody's flow just change. She wasn't even really sitting that long, but that made her have to be switched off of Asia.
That's a mental thing. Yeah, it's a mental thing. You have to play a little bit more conservative in a sense. Like, you're not as aggressive and playing in your flow because you're thinking about how many fouls you have with the course of how much you have left in the game. So that can just change up things altogether when it comes to your flow and rhythm.
Yeah. What else, in your opinion, kind of went wrong for the Mercury in game 2? We know Ka, again, had 23, led the way for the Mercury, but what kind of stuck out to you? Maybe just in that difference between game 1 and game 2, where the final score is just not as close.
Yeah, I thought just overall the offense, it wasn't like what we saw in game 1. Like, the ball movement was beautiful game 1. Like, you saw skip passes. You saw finding that extra pass, moving the ball around to find the best available shot. And I thought they had great looks, but it was just something different as far as like the eye test goes when it came to ball movement. I think that's when they're at their best for sure, when they're able to share the ball. And Satu also mentioned it, like, we have to share the ball and put each other in the best positions possible. So to me, that was the biggest thing. And that's something they have to get back to. Also, the toughness in the fight that they have. Like, we've seen these comebacks that they had versus the Minnesota Lynx. We did not see that in game 2. And I think game 1 was a lot of mental farts, but game 2 was just a beat down. And now you got to go home and take care of business. Like, when you're in a series like this, going up against a team like the Aces, it was important to take one of those games on the road. Now it's do or die in game 3. Like, I think this one puts you in a rough position. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to take care of business here in game 3 and use the X factor as an advantage with that home crowd, with that home feel, home advantage. making sure that you come out and get the job done. So I just hope they can, because it would be fun to see them push it to at least game 6.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's just this connectivity that the Aces are playing with is dangerous.
It is. And it's not like, I guess I was worried coming into even the game 1. Like, Phoenix is a really, really good team. They're riding with the underdog mentality, right? And I was like, oh gosh, are the Aces just going to stomp through them for both games? You know, like,
Mm-hmm.
is this going to be a series? Is this going to be close? I think that's what the crazy thing is. The Mercury are showing that they are still a really great team.
Yeah.
They are really solid and they have some really great pieces. The Aces are just that one step better right now.
Mm-hmm.
Will some of those shots fall at home that didn't fall over these last couple games on the road?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. I think eyes again are going to be on Satu Sabali. I think she really, really struggled with shot selection, I would say, in that first half, especially of game 2. They were
Mm-hmm.
contested threes off the bounce. Like, Aces were right there. They were all in her grill and she was
Yeah.
still shooting. She finished 7 for 19 with 22 points. A lot of that, I would say, was coming more in the second half. She started driving, getting and ones, just shooting open looks, getting better looks.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking at Satu, and also want to mention that about 3 minutes left, it looked like her ankle was stepped on by
Mm-hmm.
Asia. So she
Mm-hmm.
was limping off, and that's kind of when Nate Tibbetts pulled the plug with all his starters of like, okay, got to think about the future. We got some more games here. Let's get everybody out. I think the Aces were up by over 20 at that point. So
Yeah.
hopefully her ankle is okay and she can bounce back.
Yes.
They have a little bit of a rest.
Yeah.
We are also super thankful that travel is going to be a lot shorter for these players
Nice and
going.
easy.
Love that. From
Mm-hmm.
Vegas to Phoenix. Game 3 is on Wednesday. And a little bit later in the show, we're going to kind of talk about what the Mercury specifically may need to do to make this a series, or what can we predict from the future games. But
Mm-hmm.
right now we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we got to talk about Phee versus Cathy, my favorite matchup right now in the postseason. We'll talk about that on the other side. Welcome back to the Women's Hoop Show, where we can't stop laughing at Cathy Engelbert. And that's not a good thing, Cathy. We shouldn't be laughing at you, but we are. So much has gone down between, what has it been? A week, maybe?
Maybe.
Between Phee and WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. If you have, I don't know, maybe taken a break from social media and went under your rock for the past week, just to quickly catch you up, Napheesa Collier wrote a 4.5 minute heater in her press her exit interview for the Minnesota Lynx, and she specifically called out WNBA leadership and specifically Cathy Engelbert about
Mm-hmm.
everything under the sun, from the referees to zero accountability, to having the best league with the best players and the worst leadership, to CBA negotiations, to specific comments that Cathy made to Napheesa in their meeting in February, citing that the players should be on their knees thanking her for this media rights deal that's upcoming, that Caitlin Clark should be grateful that she's in the WNBA and she's able to make $16 million off of the court, and so on. So many very specific comments like that. So Cathy released a statement. It was weak. Immediate statement was pretty weak. It was not a lot there. And so she still was going to have a press conference, Autumn,
Mm-hmm.
before the finals. And once we all knew that, I said, I'm locked in. What time does this press? I have
Alarm
never
set.
wanted to listen to a press conference more than WNBA commissioner coming in front of everybody and having to answer to these specific comments.
Yeah.
Now, I was on an airplane, Autumn. I was traveling to the East Coast and I was
Uh-huh.
still checking my clock, seeing how I could watch this press conference. So I turn on WNBA Countdown and I get a couple clips from
Mhm.
what Cathy had said.
Mhm.
And then when I landed, I got so many text messages, including from you, of
Yes.
like, what the heck just happened? So you watched the press conference
Yeah.
just like everybody else. Like I said earlier, I feel like it went double platinum.
Mhm.
What were some things that stood out to you that she said or that
Yes.
she didn't say? Because I think that's
Yes.
also important.
Yeah. So, like you and others, I had my alarm set 7 p.m. on the
Yeah.
dot. And I was waiting for Cathy to take the stage because we heard some extremely alarming remarks from Napheesa Collier, allegedly saying, like, Cathy said only the losers are complaining about the officiating.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin Clark should be thankful for the 16 mil that she makes because of the WNBA platform. We heard players should be on their knees thanking her for the media rights deal that she got them. So when Cathy addressed the public on all of this, like, all eyes were on her. And instead of truly addressing those alarming remarks, she said there was just a lot of inaccuracies out there in the reports. And
Mm-hmm.
when asked directly about the Caitlin Clark remark, she just simply said no, she didn't say that. So for me, when I was listening to that, it honestly left me with more questions
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't still deny any of those alleged remarks. And, when someone publicly accuses you of saying something damaging to your character, to your leadership, to your integrity, like all that's on the line, the natural instinct is to defend yourself at all costs. You come up with receipts, you clarify, you set the record straight. Like all
Yeah.
of these things come natural in a sense, and it felt more like she was still deflecting rather than denying, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it just left me with more questions because I'm like, okay, did you say it or not?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We are gonna see. Another thing that was brought up was the whole fact that, Napheesa Collier and Cathy were going to meet outside of this. And then that got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So it just feels like everything is still unresolved, and it's just really sticky right now. It feels very murky, cloudy, all the things. I left with questions. It didn't address anything that we truly needed to know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Having more questions after a press conference, after you are taking questions, should not be the reality of the situation
Yeah.
whatsoever. I 1,000% agree. If someone is coming at my name like this, I am going to bring receipts. I am going to deny, deny, deny. I am going to say, no, this is not it. It took probably, I don't know, 3 questions in of asking about the specific comments for Cathy to say, like you said about Caitlin, no, obviously I didn't say those things. Okay, who is it obvious to? It's not obvious to us. We don't
Mm-mm.
know. So you
Mm-mm.
you actually need to say that if you didn't
Mm-hmm.
say those things. So I think that's where it got murky because when she wasn't denying it, I said, "Oh, she said it." If you don't say no, it was a yes or no question that Malika Andrews was asking her, giving her the exact quote that Napheesa said. That's a yes or no question. Did you say it or not? And if you
Yeah.
don't say no, we're going to assume yes, which is not great.
Mm-hmm.
Cathy Engelbert's opening statement to that press conference, I wanted to read a quote from it. She said, I have the utmost respect for Napheesa Collier and for all the players in the WNBA. Together, we have all worked tirelessly to transform this league. My focus remains on ensuring a bright future for the players and the WNBA, including collaborating on how we continue to elevate the game. I am disheartened by how Napheesa characterized our conversation and league leadership. But even when our perspectives differ, my commitment to the players and to this work will never waver. I think this was actually from her
Mm-hmm. The initial
statement,
one.
the initial statement.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea that you're calling Napheesa a liar if you say that you don't say those, which I'm sorry, Cathy, we're going to believe Phee. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to believe Phee on this one. And then the part that made me laugh out loud, Autumn, while I was on the plane, still still headphones in. People thought I was probably crazy. But I laughed out loud when the idea for Cathy Engelbert to pull the "I have a family" card.
Yeah.
I have a family. I have kids. Okay,
Hmm.
Cathy, I understand that. So
Hmm.
does Phee.
Napheesa.
So does so many of these other women in this
Yeah.
league. I don't understand what the play was there to bring up family. And that's where I laughed because that wasn't the right move. If I had a PR side of my head, like I'm
Yeah.
very curious why that road was taken.
I do not know. And I also had questions about that too. And there was also a part of the press conference that wanted to solely focus on the WNBA finals, which, yes, we are. We're locked in. It's happening at
Yeah.
8 o'clock. But 7 to whenever that interview ended, that was on the CBA. That was on this remarks. Like, we already have been catching up with the players, the coaches through their press conferences to talk about this game specifically. But
Mhm.
for this hour alone leading up to the finals, yes, we're still going to celebrate it. But at the same time, there's business and there's a lot of things that need to be cleared up. Like, we need to focus on this too. And I
Yeah.
thought that was another moment of deflecting that made it really hard in that moment to be like, okay, I know we only know what we know based off of it's coming like a she said this, she said
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
And we
For sure.
only know what happened in that room. But again, Phee came in with receipts, X, Y, and Z. This was said, that was said. I think it should have been in the same manner to really help your name in a sense, because this is not a good look at the end of the
Mm-mm.
day.
Mm-mm.
And it was a lot of deflecting in a sense. So for me to hear also like, I want to focus on the WNBA finals. We can't right now. We don't have the luxury of that because
No.
there's a lot on the line with the CBA, and it seems like none of these players are being heard. So we
Mhm.
can't just have the luxury of only focusing on the WNBA finals. The hard conversations need to be had.
For sure. And we've been deflecting every time. It's been something else to focus on. It's the WNBA season. We're in season right now. We could have talked about All-Star. We could have talked about all these other things. The CBA has been the through line all season long, and when it is October 6th that we are recording this
We got to
and the
talk about it.
deadline is in the same month, October 31st, that is something we have to talk about. And these are things that are very much on the forefront. The other thing about this was the officiating. She made a statement about, in regards to the officiating, that they're essentially setting up a multi-stakeholder task force, call it like a state of the game committee, inviting players' voices and other stakeholders to the table to ensure that our officiating program evolves in step with the growth of the league.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that I'm very curious what that's going to look like, if there is like steps in place of what we're going to do about the officiating. I think that was something that was very interesting to me that she touched on. And then also wanted to bring up this meeting that you alluded to earlier. So um I implore you all to read the ESPN article that just released today between friend of the show, Kendra Andrews, and Ramona Shelburne. They kind of detailed this whole timeline between Phee and Cathy Engelbert, especially with when Cathy's number two reached out to Napheesa after that exit interview and said, "Do you want to meet with Cathy on Saturday?" Then Cathy directly texting Napheesa saying, are we, can we meet on Saturday? But Napheesa canceling the meeting after hearing Cathy's press conference because essentially you called the girl a liar. You said
Right.
that you didn't say those things. And from sources, Napheesa said this is beyond repair.
Hmm.
So that is kind of the aftermath of the aftermath,
Yeah.
and that is this continuance of this relationship between them, and we don't know where it stands. But how the article rightly puts it, it's kind of in Cathy's court to repair this
Yeah.
relationship and try to repair this trust within the league. Napheesa spoke out, but a lot of players came to her side and
Yeah.
said, "We are with you. Phee speaks for me." Caitlin Clark said, I wasn't aware of those statements, but Phee made very valid points. We need great leadership in this league. So these were not little names talking
Yeah.
about these things. These are major players in the league coming after this criticism against Cathy. And yeah, I wanted more. I feel like there was still more left on the table, and this is going to be a ongoing
Mhm.
discussion. This is not going to be the last time we talk about this on the pod. I can guarantee that.
Yeah. No, not at all, especially if they do find a time to talk with each
Yeah.
other. But I think that cancel of the meeting was also very telling too. Like there's
Mhm.
a few ways that you can look at it. Like maybe Napheesa thought that public response told everything she needed to know.
Mhm.
Maybe she felt like it was more performative than productive.
Mhm.
Maybe she wanted to take time to reevaluate like the terms of what Cathy just said.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe she wants to approach it on her own terms, not the league's. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she felt like at this point the dialogue needs to happen publicly and not privately. Because
Yeah.
again, it feels like, she said this, she said that, like, okay, well, let's bring more ears into the room. Let's bring more witnesses because, like, she's already said her piece. Cathy Engelbert has denied all of that, in a sense, kind of,
Mhm.
because, like, a little bit. But I don't know. It's not easy. Like, once you've spoken out and, in a sense, said, like, no, she's lying on me, it's not easy to walk into a room where trust is already fractured. So I don't know. I just feel like the players right now, they're just asking for transparency of what's going on, and a closed door meeting probably won't give you the answers to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Either way, Phee sent another message, like the relationship between the players and league leadership, it's strained right now. And that's not a good place to be, especially when negotiations are supposed to be happening.
Mm-hmm. Someone said that Phee should have the meeting back on and have the Stud Buds live stream it, so we could all see it and hear it.
No, but
People
please.
are so funny, but like,
Please.
please, that would actually be great. But you just
Actually.
don't, you don't know what those conversations would be in a public versus private setting, and we want both sides to be able to be honest. So it's just
Yeah.
a lot. It's a lot there. And the other tidbit that really stuck out to me from the ESPN article was that Phee wrote that. Um, opening statement and did not consult anyone. I think that was a big question of, did she tell Caitlin Clark? Did this be planned by the WNBPA? She didn't tell anyone, according to sources close to her. So this was something that was fully off of her chest, what she wanted to get off. And she wrote it and said, whenever we're eliminated, I'm going to say this. So it
Mm.
wasn't, I'm going to say this right now because I'm so upset about the foul. I think there was just a lot of, why did she say it then? Who did she talk to? I think that she wrote it for herself based off of her own personal relationship and conversations, and as the vice president of the Players Association. And this came from Napheesa Collier's voice. And then to see that be echoed by so many other players, I think is also telling. It's not like she sent it in a group chat and said, "Hey guys, thumbs up. Can I
Y'all
go
good
with
with
this?"
this? Yeah.
She didn't do that.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to.
Yeah.
So I think that was even more telling too, that this was her first personal response. And also they mentioned in the story that she told people close to her after the meeting with Cathy in February these comments. So it's not like, oh, she's just bringing it up now, why didn't she tell anybody? No, she is very
Hmm.
smart. She is, I trust Phee. She did
Hmm.
this the right way, and I think that we're all seeing it kind of unfold. So yeah.
Woo. Part 3 coming soon.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next. My
Oh
god.
my goodness.
It is definitely ongoing, and
Hmm.
I think the thing I'm most curious about is this going to move the needle in CBA negotiations, or
Hmm.
is this going to not necessarily speed things up, but this idea that, like, more fire will come upon this leadership if you miss this deadline, and the players will come out and say exactly why. Do you want to come to a deal sooner just to save face, to save something? I'm very curious of what it's all gonna be.
Me and you both. We're going to see. Only time will tell. Hopefully, we get more answers because right now, I just don't know. Like, I'm just speaking off of what I've heard and how I felt about it. I put myself in both Cathy and Napheesa's shoes. And it's hearing that, even all that what we know, it didn't give any clarity to anything. So I don't know. I thought about how I would handle this situation, and I would most definitely be like, I didn't say X, Y, and Z.
I didn't say it.
I didn't say it. Like, no.
But the problem is, Autumn, if you did, then that's what you're trying to step around. How are you not saying that you said it, but then not denying it? That's the part I feel like she's stuck in.
Yeah.
If you said it, but you don't want to admit that you said it, because the other part could be an apology. You take full accountability. You know what? I did say that. And my bad. That was in poor taste. I shouldn't have said it like that. Whatever. But if you're not saying that, then we have to assume it's room for assumption.
Sorry, and then back it up. Sorry, and then back it up. How can I fix this? Yes, I did this X, Y, and Z, but here's how I can make this better by putting in action. I think there's two parts to this for sure, how it could be handled. Again, we don't know what happened in that room, but we are definitely going to find out. Everything that's done in the dark will come to light. Always. We will see.
Oh, what a great place to stop that conversation. Love it. Okay. Again, ongoing developing story. We'll keep you posted here. We'll take another break, and then when we come back to the finals. Back to the finals. We are looking ahead to the rest of this series. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Women's Hoop Show, and we are going to do what the league media PR wants us to do and stick to basketball. We're gonna get back to the finals.
There we go.
We're gonna talk hoops to end this out.
All right.
Looking ahead to game 3, we kind of talked about it a little bit in the first block of the show, but we're going to Phoenix. I'm sure that X Factor is going to be huge in the Mercury kind of being reignited, but you talked about it. Game 3 in a 7-game series is so pivotal because you're either down 3-0 or 2-1. It feels very different. It feels like a chasm between those. So for the Mercury to be able to get back in this series, they need to do what, Autumn?
Multiple things. Well, first, I'm going to go back to the ball movement because in game 1, that was on full display. Quicker middle touches, obviously by AT, getting her in the flow, making sure that she's in full swing and out of foul trouble. Fewer live turnovers, too. Like, this Aces defense have been on a tear. Offensively, exploit mismatches. They do have the size advantage in a sense. And protect home court. Like, at the end of the day, you're at home. You get 2 games at home. Take care of business and use that advantage to get you back into the series and let game 3 set the tone. You have to flush what you did in game 2 and get back to your identity of that toughness and fight. And that's what we saw in the series with the New York Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx. So in-game adjustments too, like it's a lot when you think about what the Aces have been able to do, how Becky Hammon has been able to keep them evolving no matter what the quarter has looked like, no matter what the game has looked like. Like right now, it looks like everything is playing in the Aces' favor, but I'm not counting out the Phoenix Mercury who have gotten to this point. And I think they've gotten to this point, not just by their big 3, but also their bench as well. Like Sammy Whitcomb, she had a tough game too, but after injury, it looked like she just hasn't been filling and flow and rhythm that we saw throughout this whole course of the season. DeWanna Bonner as well, not really showing her dominance in game 2. You need more from everyone at this point in the season, back against the wall. You need more from every single person in the Aces. They've been able to get multiple contributions, multiple production from different players at different times of the game, which has been hard to contain. And we'll see how it goes. But that's a running list. But that's what you got to do. Like, focus on this full 40 minutes and come like you're desperate, because you are in this sense.
Yeah. And I love what you said about the depth piece for the Mercury. I think that is something that has been to their advantage in this postseason. One of the biggest shots in all of the playoffs was Sammy Wickham sending the game into overtime against the Minnesota Lynx. And to have her go over in game 2, I agree. She didn't look 100%, even though Nate Tibbetts said that the knee injury maybe looked worse than what it was, and she was ready to go, but didn't get a ton of minutes. And then Duana Bonner didn't have a great game in game 2 either. We
Kat
talked about Kat Westbeld. These are players that we're looking to kind of be that spark for them off the bench, and they were kind of nowhere to be found. Again, on home court, that could definitely change. Those shots could for sure go down.
Yeah, Ka even mentioned it. Like, when you talk about our success as the big three, don't forget to mention the other players as well, because they have gotten us to this point. They have held us down throughout injuries. They've been able to step up in massive ways, and they've been our X factor to get to this point. You have to sustain that throughout the course of these next few games in order to win a title together.
I think you mentioned it earlier. The Mercury's bench was outscored 41-16 in game 1.
Yes.
And then 16-8 in game 2. So we definitely were able to close that gap, but they're still being outscored. 8 points coming from your bench is not enough to get the job done. The other thing too is 3-point shooting. This is what we talked about when we went through every team's Achilles heel. Phoenix Mercury can shoot the lights out, but when it's not falling, it is really rough to watch. Couple numbers from that. The Mercury missed 15 consecutive 3-point attempts at one point in game 2, finished shooting a dismal 17%, 5 of 28 from the 3-point line, marking the second worst 3-point performance this postseason. So it's ugly when the threes ain't going down. When they are, they make 20-point comebacks, and they storm back into it. Even when the Aces were up by 20, I feel like Ryan Rucco at one point said, don't count this Mercury team. Like, they've done it before. It definitely didn't feel like the game was over until it was over. But if you're not shooting the ball well, that makes for a tough mountain to climb when you get down like that. So I don't know what that remedy is. I think that's just a confidence thing of being able to wipe that, get that out of your mind, and be able to shoot it better. But we talked about that. You live and die by the 3-point line.
Yeah, they died in game 2 for sure. 5 for 28 was ugly to see. I think they're at their best when they're on attack mode. Alyssa Thomas, like, get out the way when she's coming downhill. Ka is an elite downhill player as well. Satu Sabli, I think she does a great job when she works inside and out. So it starts there in game 3. Like, come in relentless, be on attack mode, get to the rim, and then spray it out for 3, because you know your 3-point shooters are ready in that sense. That can't happen. Like, at this point, you just gotta have a memory of a goldfish. Don't even think about game 2. Get back to just what you were doing all season long and hang your hat on that.
Speaking of that, we talked about the Phoenix Mercury. What do they have to do to get back into it? What do the Aces have to do to keep their foot on the gas?
I love what they're doing right now. Everything they need to do from game 1 to game 2, like, copy, paste, and keep it going, because I love how everyone just seems so bought into what they need to do. Every single role is very sure of themselves. Coming off the bench, what they need to do, in-game adjustments, they have been so spot on. Obviously, Asia Wilson's going to be the focal point of that. But as she goes, this team needs to chug along right with her, because that's making them unstoppable at this point. coming into game 3. And then the defensive end, I think that's the underrated part of all of this. Like, yes, the offense has been fun to watch. Obviously, Jackie Young in that game 2 going off for 21 points. Like, who doesn't want to see that? The flashy passes of Chelsea Gray, dime after dime after dime. Asia Wilson, face up. Like, any move she hits you with is dangerous. But it starts on the defensive end that they're able to get this confidence from their deflections, from their steals, making things difficult for the Mercury to get to their kill spots and fluster them in a sense, or just giving different looks, period, like switching up from zone to man, different ways for the Mercury to be uncomfortable. So they've said it all season long. They were really harping on it going after, like in the All-Star break, they were talking about it nonstop. We saw that through and through. And it's been interesting to see how the Mercury, in the postseason, they've been the best defensive team. Aces have been the best offensive team. But pairing both, scary. They're tapping into a different zone. So the Mercury have to come with it.
Speaking of zone, I love how the Aces switched to zone in that game 1 to really shake things up. And that's where we talk about those in-game adjustments of just Becky Hammon being like, we're locked in. We've been here before. That was so smart. And that was what really, really shook the Mercury. And I can see them doing that again, or that type of change. I'm also going to go on a limb and say an Alyssa Smith game is coming. I feel like an Alyssa Smith game needs to happen. She had 3 points in game 2, 21 minutes. I just feel like if they can get some double digits out of her, that's going to be huge. Not saying that anyone else would have a down game in game 3 or game 4, but I just feel like an Alyssa Smith game is coming. Now I'm going to sound like a genius or a future.
Clip it.
Clip it right now if I'm right.
Right.
I can sense that. And Jewel Lloyd, honestly, a great game 1, 9 points in game 2. But timely corner threes, if you just stick to that, keep that as your role, and crashing the O boards, I feel like Jewel Lloyd has taken a personal task to get offensive rebounds. Knowing your role, like, that is still great. I'm not expecting a 30-piece out of Jewel Lloyd right now, but to keep it timely and keep hitting shots, they're going to need that in game 3 as well. I love it.
I agree. Retweet.
Ooh, okay. Game 3 is on Wednesday. Just like we said, it's going to be good. This series has been super entertaining and so fun.
It has. Please give us more games.
Yes, I know. Please. Come on, Mercury. Fight back so we can get some more basketball.
Right. Please. I beg of you. I do not want the season to be over. Like, if we can just stretch this a little bit more. Stretch it. Please.
I love it. Okay, now it's time for Sending Flowers, sponsored by Cash App. Making money moves should be easy, and that's why there's Cash App. It's fast, safe, and honestly just way more personalized than other apps out there. Autumn, who are you sending flowers to this week? We've talked about a lot of things, a lot of people.
We did. And I always give flowers to players. I always send, flowers to like Asia Wilson. I would send flowers to Jackie Young, obviously, Dana Evans. Like, I would send it to the entire Aces team, which in a sense, I guess we're still giving it to an Aces member, Becky Hammon. Like,
ooh, I like that.
Through and through. What she's been able to do, you gave off an incredible stat. 90% in the postseason is massive when it comes to her success. Yeah. And this is a player, I was looking through Instagram and just saw a feed of players she's played with and against. Like, she's not that far removed from being on that court. Like, she knows what it takes. And to translate that success over to now the coaching end, even the records that players are now breaking, like, a lot of her name is etched in that history. So phenomenal player, even phenomenal coach. Like, the in-game adjustments, how she's been able to pour into each player and know exactly what they need in every single moment. It's been masterful to see at the end of the day. And if the Aces bring home their 3rd title, she is at the forefront of that dynasty. Like, the aura that she brings, you can tell also the relationship with each individual player. I've been hearing like Jackie Young's the favorite and all of this. And Asia Wilson also, like the relationship they have with each other. It's just really cool to see. Like, you want to play for a coach like that. And that's a difference maker in itself. That's an X factor in itself. Like, who are you going to when you're in that huddle? Who are you trusting in that huddle? Who's that sound ear that you know you're going to be put in the right place, in the right position, in that possession to win games? It's Becky Hammon, like through and through. So yes, we talk about a lot of Asia Wilson's like just beautiful performances night in and night out. We see Jackie Young, Chelsea's Gray. We can mention all these players, but at the helm of all of it, it's Becky Hammon, and I love what she's been able to do.
Absolutely. That's such a good one. And people were coming for Becky's head at the beginning of this season. Let's not forget when the Aces were losing, everyone was saying Becky should be fired. Her time is up. No. With that winning streak, with these adjustments, Becky coaches her tail off. And I have also been seeing those photos of her on the Silver Stars with Kayla McBride, and people are like, okay, that's an active player. Becky is not far removed. She is not. Also, another stat I came across that was crazy was
I love your stats.
I know, right? These are so good. Alyssa Thomas's 54 career playoff games without winning a title are tied for second most of any player, only behind Becky Hammon. So she has that experience of being in the playoffs as a player. She wasn't able to win a title. So now to come back to a league, coach your former team, and potentially win a third title in 5 years. Like, that's so cool. That is so cool.
So cool.
So cool. We love stories like that. Okay, great flowers. Great
flowers. Thank you.
I am going to give send flowers to all of WNBA media, because what a time it has been turning out all of these stories on the Cathy versus Phee scenario, on the finals, like actual reactions to being at those games. I just feel like the WNBA media is at a really great place right now, that I just honestly feel like 2 years ago, looking up an article before coming on this podcast was like hunting for fossils. Like, it was so hard to find recaps of games in playoffs and finals, or just different type of topics to come to this podcast with. So I appreciate that. Means that you guys are in those media rooms. You're staying until the very end to write those stories and ask the questions in the press conference. So I just wanted to send all of you flowers. I know you are all so tired. And me and Autumn are like, yeah, more games. And you guys are probably like, please wrap it up. It's been a long season. So
that's so good.
I see you all, and you guys are all of our friends, and we love you. You're doing a great job, and just wanted to send you all some flowers and maybe some coffee, maybe a nap.
Lots of naps.
No, send it all.
That's so good. I love that one, because also, what a time to be in that room too. Like, we're going to look back in history in this moment, and to say you were in that room asking those questions, those hard questions. Like, as a journalist, it's hard. Like, our jobs are hard. Asking the right question, delivering it correctly, making sure that you're on your P's and Q's, and being fearless as well. Because those aren't easy questions to ask, directly to a commissioner. But to come in and ask what needs to be asked to get the story and get what you need and hold that integrity, like that in itself is a beautiful blend. The hours, the travel, all that blended into it. I already know they're tired, but like, they should be proud. Like, when this season closes, like, please close the laptop along with it. Take a vacation.
Take a vacation.
Please. And take care of yourselves. But man, it's really empowering to see like how they're able to come in and just do the job at their highest capability and do it so beautifully. I love it.
I love it. I feel like we have the best media group ever out of any sport. I'm totally biased, but
no, I would say so
that's
too.
what I feel.
Yeah, we said
All
it.
right. Well, that was Sending Flowers, sponsored by Cash App. As you heard me say at the top of the show, new Cash App users can use our code to get free money. Use our code Hoopers, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 right in your account. Thank you, Cash App, and thank you, Autumn, per usual, for coming in, yapping about all the things. It's been
all
fun.
the things. It's been so fun. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, we will. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an update. Your support means the world. And if you're feeling generous, leaving a quick rating or review helps more Hoops fans discover the show. And you can now see us on our brand new YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe there. Shoot us an email at women'shoops@odyssey.com to tell us what's on your mind. We want to hear your hottest takes, your burning questions, and all your feelings about all things women's hoops. We just might feature your note on the show. That's women'shoops@odyssey.com. The Women's Hoop Show is an Odyssey original podcast hosted by me, Jordan Robinson. Today, our co-host was Autumn Johnson. Our producer is Phil Switek. Our video team is led by Kurt Courtney and includes Tim Meikle, Evan Cox, Allison Jeffrey, and Lauren Vieira. Our executive producers are Greg Holtzman, Asha Saluja, Danny Freisinger, Maddie Sprunkheiser, and Leah Reese-Dennis. And special thanks to Moira Curran and Josephina Francis.